What's up, you guys? Welcome to Fightful. It is February 7th, 2025. The wonderful Kate will join us momentarily, as is tradition. We have diagnosed her lag issues, basically. We diagnosed it before we went on the air. It will be rectified soon. Probably not tonight, but we're going to figure something out. We got Alex Cardoza here. How you doing, man?
Hey man, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have diagnosed that for poor Kate. I mean, we actually came down and figured out the root of the problem. So, and all this time, it wasn't her internet. Believe it or not,
hardware.
It was all hardware.
All hardware. She's running live streams on a 2021 MacBook Air, and as it turns out, not ideal for what we do here. Had we known that, we could have dealt with this much earlier. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Please subscribe. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today. I was going to join the show anyway. Listen, I didn't take in all of SmackDown, so I will be of little to no use there outside of what I can contribute to. But there were WWE releases. There was an AEW release. There are contract re-signings. It's been a very busy day. We'll ask you to share this video. Again, leave a thumbs up. I can't tell you how much that helps us. I would like to target conservatively 32,000 thumbs ups on the live stream. Just 32,000. That's it. That's it.
And that's on the low end.
Yeah, if we get 32,000, I will personally buy Kate a new PC.
Everyone, tap right now. Share this with your grandmother, with your grandfathers, with everyone in the family. If you have lost cousins that you haven't spoken to in years that love wrestling, text them right now.
If your husband's in jail, create an account with him, all that stuff.
Send them a commissary photo or something. Tap.
You can get your super chats and humper chats in. I am going to save everybody a bunch of time. I do not know if the releases are done, so that is not worth asking. In fact, I had just posted that on Twitter, and then someone says, "Is that it for tonight, or are there more expected?" And I was like, "I just posted a tweet saying I don't know. I don't know." But here's what we got going on right now. WWE releases and one AEW release. Now, the AEW one, far more sinister in nature. Bear Boulder, who was in the tag team, the Iron Savages, was arrested a couple of weeks ago, basically for strangulation, a domestic violence related charge, and AEW found out, severed ties with that man immediately. Not a lot of additional information for that outside of his now former tag team partner, Bear Bronson, who I know a little bit. You know, I checked on him, and he straight up said, I reached out to the victim as soon as I found out and have been keeping in touch with her. And he posted a comment as well, said that he was sick to his stomach. He's been checking with her since he found out to make sure that she's okay. But I would say good move, AEW, immediately severing ties, Alex.
Yeah, I agree. When it comes to things like this, it should not be played with. There shouldn't be long talks about investigation or anything like that. This has happened with other people, and sometimes it took a little bit longer. And unfortunately, we live in the age of social media, which people start smearing companies for not acting fast enough when it comes to certain things like this. So they did the right thing.
They cut BJ Whitmer upon his arrest. I believe it was 2 years ago as well. So, I mean, they have been pretty quick to move in these as well. Over on the WWE side of things, Fightful Select. So I'll give you guys the rundown of how we handle this. The news of the releases is on a free tier. We don't post that behind the paywall. Additional information behind it is behind the paywall, but I'm going to provide you guys with a lot of that information momentarily. I'd like to welcome Kate on here.
Am I
Van
here?
Twinblade.
Am I really here?
Van Twinblades is also Bangs Gang Buns Up. Listen, your connection looks much better. I think this does verify this is a hardware issue.
It's an emotional issue for my computer at this point. It needs therapy. It needs help. I don't know what's going on with it, but happy to be joining the post show. Some unfortunate circumstances that we have to talk about at the top here, though, obviously, with Sean. Yeah. But please do leave a thumbs up. Please subscribe if Sean didn't give you that gentle reminder.
You can get in your super chats, get in your humper chats, all that good stuff. If this is your first time here, we do post shows every single night. We do news shows almost daily. We have additional channels, interviews, all that stuff. And we're just happy to have Kate here on her 2021 MacBook. Her MacBook smog is what we'll call it.
That's generous.
And if we get to 32,000 likes, we are going to get Kate a brand new MacBook Pro.
I did say that 32,000, I would personally buy you a PC. 32,000 likes.
There's got to be somebody on Fiverr that will create 32,000 accounts to come and like this. I'm going to spend $5 to get myself a brand new computer. But some unfortunate news to kick off with here. Sean, release days are like a top 10 crappy day of what we do, of what you do specifically.
It's the worst.
Yeah, but KE775 saying what happened to Blair Davenport. Sean loved her. Meeting Shawn Michaels, not you, if you're listening in audio form. She gets called up and only gets 3 matches. It seems like she got hosed. So as someone that covers NXT, I can speak to the fact that she was built really, it felt like properly there. And when she got called up, she had done so without a title reign. She had done so before that mid-card title was there. She seemed like someone that would have been ripe for that mid-card NXT title. And when she came up, like a lot of people, unfortunately, it feels like the transition from NXT to the main roster doesn't necessarily have a ton of intentionality behind it, which is unfortunate because she has a very high ceiling. She did great work in Japan under the name Bea Priestley. I think she's someone who will find success again very easily, but there's a couple of releases today that it feels like people were kind of never really given a full chance under the new era. I would say that Sonya Deville and the Pure Fusion Collective haven't really been booked fairly to get a proper evaluation of what's going on there either. But certainly not a lack of talent in them, but these rosters are stacked and the talent pool is very high in wrestling right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to walk through these releases and what we had reported on them. So you mentioned Blair Davenport. I know there had been some like reports out there that had indicated that the move to 3 hours would create plans for her. There were never plans for her, and that was a source of frustration among a lot of people. There had never been any extended creative plans for Blair Davenport. I've already heard from numerous people around wrestling who have talked about possibly getting her booked in other companies. Heard from one person at AEW who said, I was just saying last week that I wish that we had her back. So there's that at least. Not a lot more to that other than there had never been creative plans. Sonya Deville, this was one where she had spent 10 years with the company, and there was not a lot of upward trajectory that people in WWE were seeing. Clearly, Pure Fusion Collective didn't take off in any discernible way. And Sonya's contract is expiring and will not be renewed. She will be a free agent within a few weeks. I know that a couple of wrestlers had already spoken with her about it, and she seemed to be all right. But then there was Cedric Alexander. He was released. He'll be a free agent in 90 days. This is one that is there's a little bit to weigh here. His wife is Big Swole. She had a very contentious exit from AEW. But also, he is going to have people that are pushing for him in AEW. Probably the Hurt Syndicate. Like, I don't think that's like a big secret. Like, they love that guy. They would love to work with him. He would fit that mold very, very well. If they ever wanted to go the trios route, I think that would be a more long-term fit than MVP, who is wrestling here and there. He will be a free agent in 90 days. He is on a main roster deal, even though he was in NXT. AOP and Paul Ellering. This is an interesting one. So first off, they were signed for quite a long time before they ever showed up. In fact, one of the people that came back in like 2023 was like, yeah, I saw them at the Performance Center in like August, like 6 months before they showed up. They were very adamant that Paul Ellering be taken care of and be brought back with them, because when Paul Ellering was sort of ditched as their manager, a lot of people thought, oh, he doesn't want to be on the road. No, that man didn't care. He wanted to be on the road, and they were adamant that it be a package deal. But there were a number of wrestlers and people that I heard from in the industry that said that they came in with a bit of heat because of some outside ventures that cost a few acts money, including the ill-fated wrestling show that they were going to put on that had a really good-looking card and some other things. And some of those people ended up on the WWE roster. And in fact, I was told, yeah, probably a reason they were put with Karrion Kross is to take some heat off of them in that regard, because everybody likes Kross there. I know Kross obviously didn't feel great about this, about them departing. He was very loyal to them as well, because he's a stand-up guy. But there were no creative plans for AOP and Ellering following the Wyatts. It's just there weren't. And this is a team that at one point looked like they would be very, very special. And they fizzled out, and then they got brought back. And I can't pretend they were ever booked to be what we once thought they would be. They were losing via like some of the worst roll-ups you've ever seen. So Tin Ruza says, WWE making incredible money releasing F the Fed. And Van Twinblade says, Indy's about to cook. F Bear, though. Yeah, Indy Hartwell is now a free agent. She's going to do very well. Like, listen, I have yet to meet a woman from that geographical region who isn't hilarious. I don't know what it is.
The fellas, too. Like, Duke Hudson got released earlier this week.
Yeah.
And he has an incredible sense of humor. Everybody who follows me on social media knows what a TMDK fan I am. But, like, Bronson Reed has that Shane Haste is...
That's true.
His tagline is hysterical, and I can promise you he genuinely is.
Grayson's funny, too. I guess when you live in a place where everything tries to kill you, you have to have some sort of sense of humor.
It's true. Between kangaroos and spiders, my goodness.
This Crazy One-on-One says, very unfortunate releases happened, Cedric and AEW. I will be here for a little bit. I'm going to talk contracts. I'm going to talk the LA Drew stuff as well. Yeah.
I took that last chat to mean that indies are about to cook, meaning the independent wrestling scene.
Oh, the indies are about to cook.
That's how I interpreted that. However you spell it. Maybe Indianapolis is about to cook, even though they just came out of Royal Rumble.
Yes. Well, I mean, listen, the Indiana Fever added a lot of great pieces last week. One of the best off seasons in WNBA history for a team. So
there you go.
The Line Drive says the WWE is in a creative rut where they keep running the same variation of this, or some variation of the same feud repeatedly. Releasing talent makes that worse. I mean, I sort of understand what you mean, but I will say this. The Bloodline, as tedious and repetitive as it was for 4.5 years, did plant an awful lot of seeds and give you a lot of reasons for other feuds and for justifiable frustration among those talents with one another on screen. Like, they did a really good job there. You see some talent that are more forgiving than others. You see other talent that are less forgiving than others, and then ones who feel betrayed by those forgiving people. Like that, it was honestly a wonderful long-term play for WWE to do that, and then bring back everybody that got screwed over and their individual stories as well, and whether or not they were willing to reckon with the fact that Roman was a changed man or not, because he just erased from TV for like 5 months and then came back with new music. But I see what you mean, but I think they're doing good. Van Twinblade says, Aussies are fun for the same reason. The Irish are funny. They had to deal with the British. I will say this. There were skits I pitched with Shaza, and she claimed that we would get canceled. And it was just stuff that MJF ended up doing a few months later anyway, like hanging out at Outback Steakhouses and stuff. But
I will say we work with Corey Brennan, and I'm working with him more closely than I ever have before, and I don't know what you're talking about with Irish humor there. That guy doesn't like you two. He's not funny. I kid. He's great. But we have a kayfabe feud that we have to keep going. So I have to say that. But Logs Beck saying, will LA Knight make the Mania card? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can talk about this Drew Heat situation that you reported on earlier in the week.
Let's get this one. This one's a big super chat that we should get to before we move on. Tim McFall says, anyone losing their job sucks, but Sonya really hurts. The only openly LGBTQ member of the roster wasn't worth renewing despite being amazing both in-ring and on the mic. Representation matters. We need to see ourselves on TV. I mean, there are others that are open. They don't make it a part of their on-screen identity necessarily. But there's plenty on that roster that are open. It's not my place to kind of put that out there. But I do agree. Representation does matter. And having people that you can identify with on the screen does go a long way in fandom and feeling taken care of in that sense. And Sonya was big on that. I mean, she effectively came out on national TV, which is, I can't imagine how intimidating that was. Can't possibly imagine. And that woman handled a lot of very unfortunate situations with grace. She was stalked, for the love of God. Like, that woman was stalked and had her home broken into, handled it with grace. She was willing to shave her head at one point for a storyline. She was...
That feud between she and Mandy Rose really, really was a pivotal storyline during an era where that pandemic era was carried by Bailey and Andrade and Zelina, and kind of that story between Mandy and Sonya, and I feel like that was so important. But she's been a really important piece of that women's division on an up and down wave for the past 10 years. And I've always really enjoyed her work. I thought Put Your Hair Up and Square Up version of her was awesome. I'm a big fan of her, so I'm hoping the best. But Panda Express 69 saying, I'll never understand the people who say F a business for making cuts despite them making money. Just because you make money doesn't mean you should waste it on talent you don't use. Now, I'll just say that it feels like, from a roster efficiency standpoint, right now they're in a place where they know how many hours of TV they're producing. They know what networks they're going to be on for a really long time. So this kind of thing sucks, but it's kind of bound to happen. You start to look at things, you can see how they shake out. We have this 3-hour SmackDown. We know what Netflix looks like. We know what NXT looks like with more clarity than ever. And now there's other places you can work. This doesn't feel like the days we were talent hoarding during a pandemic or things like that. This just feels like a really sucky part of the business, in my opinion. In
fact, on the other side of things, we used to say WWE is talent hoarding. Now you've got AEW in a situation where they have benched a lot of talent. Danhausen can't get back on TV after a contract issue and returning. Ricky Starks has been out for almost a year. Miro didn't wrestle at all last year. Ray Phoenix has said, please use me on TV. I will wrestle for you. Sorry, all that stuff. He didn't say sorry. That would probably go a long way. But there are an awful lot of people. Scorpio Sky is not on TV. The other company seems to be hoarding talent, which, causes it's almost like this wave that goes back and forth. I agree. And in AEW, I believe they've made a few behind the scenes financial cutbacks. It's just get rid of those talent you're not using. If they want to go.
Sean, I do the ROH post show, and when you reported there was tension between GCW and AEW because of Willie Mack, half the people that saw that were like, Willie Mack was signed to AEW. ROH is this whole place where all of those talent can work, and they have no direction for that product at all. So it's doubly frustrating for someone that covers that.
I had pre-wrote at one point a Willie Mack isn't under contract anymore article because I was like, okay, I'll just have this ready to go and then check on it and make sure to dot the T's and or dot the I's, cross the T's. Then they're like, no, he's still under contract. It's just he hasn't wrestled here in months. But like, yeah, like imagine if you put Ricky Starks, Phoenix, Danhausen, Miro on ROH instead of simply not using them. Like the show would be categorically different. Scorpio Sky, there's a lot of that. Any news on Matt Cardona and WWE? No, none, not a peep. Sorry, there's just none. There's no info. We got Tin Ruse that says Melbourne, Australia represent. We're fun. Watch AEW Grand Slam. It's going to be a very, very good card. Love for Boost says, I don't know if anyone mentioned it yet, Cedric rejoining the Hurt Syndicate. So I've already spoken to people in AEW who say that they expect people to push for Cedric Alexander. But there is also the question mark surrounding the Big Swole exit. That is his wife. And maybe that won't be an issue. They got bills to pay, but Cedric's going to get an awful lot of bookings. He will.
Mustafa Ali also was immediately out there advocating, as there were 205 Live pillars to that division for sure. For sure.
You got Buddy, Ali, and Cedric on the outside looking in. And like TJP in New Japan doing insane stuff as well. Like the integral parts of that 205 Live are no longer there. Tom says, shouts to Luis, again, moderator extraordinaire. Not just that, he's leading the charge on Fightful Espanol over on Twitter as well. If you are Spanish language speaking, we are going to have more stuff for you in that regard as well. This is one I feel like I can answer as well. Any update on Rockmania? Looking unlikely for a match, but an appearance. I will never write off an appearance, but I'll also never write off The Rock in general. I know a lot of people gave Dave Meltzer crap by saying The Rock was mad that report got out, that he wasn't leaning towards working Mania, and some people thought maybe he'd do it out of spite. That is 100% something he would do. Like, listen, if Dave says something that is completely waffling or unbelievable or bullshit, I would be happy to say it. That is 100% something The Rock would do. Absolutely. And that is something that people within the company have always been cognizant of the possibility that he could do. And it is wild to me that there are fans on social media, and believe me, these are the types of fans WWE wants so bad, that will be like, oh yeah, you're just covering your ass. And I'm like, they did a documentary last year, which, by the way, the premiere date changed because they had to make editing changes about how the story kept changing and how things kept adjusting. Oh my God.
That was the case with the Alexa Bliss story too. That was a note that we had for tonight of
let's talk about
things
that.
Can be true, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So listen, Dave's done it a few times, backed me up on things, but like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I get a lot of backup from like Dave or Mike or anybody like that on a lot of things. And I didn't report anything on Alexa Bliss until the day of her appearing. And then I reported she's coming back. But I still knew what was happening when Michael Cole and Wade Barrett dropped the dirt sheets line on the Royal Rumble. I was like, well, I'm about to get like 100 tweets about how I was wrong about something that I didn't report on. But the thing is, Mike and Dave were also not wrong. They were completely accurate. Here's the timeline of events. WWE wanted Alexa to come back. They prepared merch for her. That was going to happen a couple weeks prior. Alexa and her team said, we would like a new contract because the previous talent relations gentleman, Dan Ventrelli, had, at least per their claims, said they would do a new deal whenever she came back. WWE, this regime was like, we've been paying you for 2 years of maternity leave. We paid you for 9 months when you were out for injury. So you could certainly see both sides there. Alexa sees, she was told one thing and then sees all these new deals. WWE is like, yeah, but we paid you for like almost 3 years of inactivity, effectively. There was no deal as of late Friday. She was in Orlando. Shotzi was going to be in the Rumble. Then very, very early Saturday, I believe PWN had actually had details. Like, it was very early Saturday. The deal got signed. The former Mojo Rawley helped to do the deal. with Paragon Talent, as well as Steve K, who probably doesn't want to be mentioned, but sorry. They did the deal. They helped make this thing come together. And then Alexa was flown that day to Indianapolis and then plug and played into Shotzi's spot. Shotzi had rehearsed, and they had a lot of that already done. So I'm like, listen, there are plenty of opportunities for you to dunk on the dirt sheets, but like, do it on something that was wrong. Do it on something incorrect, not something that they got right, especially like Dave and Mike. Like, they got the story right. That's it. And we reported on Fightful Select. It's a 5-year deal. I mean, it's going to go through, 2029 now. But it looked like they weren't going to make a deal. And I know a lot of people said, well, how did it go from what Dave said to it happening? It just did. Like, there was at one point where the people around Alexa did not think she was coming back to WWE. And they made a deal happen, and they made it work. Also today, I mean, Kevin Owens practically confirmed it with his Girl Scout cookies tweet, which was hilarious. He said, please buy Girl Scout cookies, and I promise I will continue wrestling for 4 years, 11 months, and like 22 days. And I have been asking about his contract like once a month for like 6-7 months. And that's why when people say, has he re-signed a new deal? I would say, you can assume he has a new deal in place, but I can't report it because I'm not allowed to assume. Like, you as a fan, as a viewer, are allowed to do that, but I can't write a report saying assumed to. So today we had it confirmed. He did sign. It is a 5-year deal, and it did start Royal Rumble weekend. So congrats, Kevin Owens, getting absolutely paid again. And let me tell you,
Deserved.
man got paid on his last deal and had some career highlights happen. But, fewer people loved more in pro wrestling than him. AEW did want him. Tony Khan is a big Kevin Owens guy in that sense. But it's good to see that. We're going to have more and more contract news. We had Jordan Grace's contract info, another 5-year deal. So it used to be WWE was lining a lot of these up with like the TV deals and stuff like that. That's still the case with like SmackDown, but 5-year deals for all them. And we're going to keep asking about a lot of the releases. Dante says, counterpoint, if you can't come up with creative for some of these talent, maybe you need to rethink your creative. A lot of these talent could have gotten over if given the chance. Dante, I'll push back on you a little bit there. They constantly have creative changes. They constantly have different writers come in and change out. Not nearly as much as they used to when Vince McMahon would drive these people nuts and you would get no real downtime or freedom or anything like that. But there are creative adjustments that are made, and they absolutely do that. They brought in Eric Watts last year, not Bill Watts' son, of Tough Enough fame. Eric Watts, who had competed in championship wrestling from Hollywood. They brought him in and had him start doing some stuff, but
doesn't have that Techno Team 2000 experience, which is, as you know, the most vital part. The only thing that I'll say is like, the only thing that feels very preventable, I guess, in all of that is the NXT call-up side, because I cover NXT. Man, like, Blair Davenport could have still been doing work there. Like, this women's division now is even better, but, like, it felt like they picked that division dry. Kiana James obviously got injured, but, like, she did not feel like someone that it was like, well, she's maxed out her time in NXT here. She could have still been doing great. Dijak definitely another one. So that's the only thing that feels super preventable is why are you calling people up if you don't have creative plans for them? Dijak, of course, in the speed tournament, but that was about it. So, and
not to bury anybody, but I'm seeing a report out there saying that some were caught off guard by it because they were recently on TV or scheduled to receive more exposure. And again, I don't want to name and shame anybody in that sense, but there were not creative plans for Blair Davenport in a grander level. Maybe she would have had some conversations with somebody, but there were no AOP and Paul Ellering plans. In fact, after they beat the Wyatt family, they were off TV. They were not seen with Cross after that, and many in the company took note of that. I know that Cedric Alexander wrestled Ethan Page like a couple weeks ago, but when's the last time he wrestled on TV before that? It was like mid-December. He barely wrestled on TV and was losing like 5-minute matches then. There were not there were no grand plans for PFC right now. Like there just weren't. Will Chisholm says, don't know why KO was mad tonight. He just got a new deal. I found my old contract recently, and I signed a new deal in 2020, and I realized it was supposed to go up until like 2 months ago. My contract would have expired 2 months ago, but I broke the CM Punk story, and Jimmy was like, let me sign you for 8 years.
I was going to say, because you re-signed shortly after I started working here, and I remember being like, okay, good, because I like working for this guy.
Yeah. I'm signed until the end of 2029, which now I've got an ownership role, so I would have to, like, not re-sign myself. Logs Beck sent a super chat. I want to thank you so much for that. One other note before I hop off of here, and again, hope you guys stick around. Great SmackDown review from these two, but I'm going to try to pop on here a lot more for like post-show news and stuff like that. The Drew LA Knight thing. So I'll tell you something that I was pleasantly surprised to not see. A bunch of people being like, you got worked. You're getting worked. Because there's no valuable element to that. But here's what happened. During the Royal Rumble on Saturday, PW Insider had reported that actually, I'll tell you what the order of operations as I saw it. PW Insider reported that Drew McIntyre went through the backstage area, was cursing, was pissed off about something. Fightful Select followed up. We confirmed that and then found out it was due to a spot in the Rumble because Drew was supposed to be eliminated by Damian Priest before Logan Paul's entrance. Now, to me, I look at that and I go, well, if you're a producer or a timer, just don't signal Logan Paul's music until the elimination happens. That would be ideal. But the blame that Drew was pointing at was LA Knight, quote, getting his shit in or getting his moves in, getting his stuff in. As I watched it back, like I couldn't necessarily pinpoint anything that LA Knight took that long on. But again, I'm not in the match. There was a lot of incorrect aggregating saying that he was upset over the Damian Priest story. I have not heard that at all. I have not heard of him having any issues working with Damian Priest. But tonight, LA Knight sort of got his heat back, so to speak. He looked at the camera and he was like, men around the world, I just want you to know mental health is important. And sometimes if you need to cry it out. He's like, now there are some people like Drew McIntyre who cry all the time, 24/7.
He was like, but there is a line.
Yeah, he's like this guy's called Drew McIntyre, which was very funny. And then he paused and he goes, hold on, forgot to get my stuff in. LA Knight, yeah. To me, that is a wonderful receipt for something like that. Like, two guys of whom don't take things so seriously that they're going to let it ruin their careers or ruin somebody else's careers. People were asking me, did Drew no-show Raw? No, he was planned for SmackDown. What? I was shocked today when they're saying Drew McIntyre's officially on SmackDown. Duh. Like, was that the transfer window? What was the transfer window? Why did it exist? Knows. What is it really? Is it a wild card? Is it a brand-to-brand invitational?
Couldn't tell you.
Is it a transfer window? What the hell is it?
Sean, I do 250-ish podcasts a year at this place at minimum. I couldn't tell you. I've been watching this product. I watch 3 nights a week. The transfer window has been so inconsistent and bad, but I think this is how I put it. People said like Drew walking out immature, whatever. If I was Drew's size and got pissed off, I would be claymoring people all the time. I was at Trader Joe's yesterday, not in a great mood. Wow. I would be claymoring people at Trader Joe's. The fact that he walks out instead of just claymores people, just if someone's in the way, I give him all the credit for being that mature.
He was making it very well known backstage that he was upset. Like it wasn't just like him stomping off. And like he was legitimately upset over the CM Punk thing the year prior, like in 2023, because he felt like he was not appropriately kept in the loop. And it wasn't even that. Okay, it wasn't even that. It's that they told him, no, this man isn't coming back. And at the time, Drew did not want him to come back. And then he did. Like he felt lied to in that sense, from what I understood.
Well, sounds like because he was lied to. With
well,
reason.
To be fair, I believe when he was told that, he wasn't lied to.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
And obviously that move ended up being wonderful for his career, but LA Knight is not the type of guy that is going to hear that and get so butthurt that he ruins somebody's career or his own career. He is going to go out there and he will get his shot back in with that. And you even saw Drew giggle about it. Like, to me,
was a good one.
That's how you handle it. They're in this, that stuff, while unfortunate, it's fine. It's fine. So DD Jericho says, KO gets a new contract, still doing promos from his rental car.
He answered this in an interview, though, and I loved it. He was like, my house is loud. We know Kevin Owens has 6 cats. Okay, Jeremy Lambert wrote a fantastic headline with that. But he was like, I've got kids. My house is loud. I do promos from my car because I know it's quiet, which I appreciate. Yes. Jules just saying, much love. Thank you, Fightful, for all you do. Well, thank you so
Jules.
Much.
Thank you, Jules. We greatly encourage you guys. Send super chats here on youtube.com/Fightful. We are largely publicly funded with the exception of a couple sponsors, of which Kate will get to after I leave. But we are largely publicly funded, and that's how we like it. We do not want to, have anybody over top of us in that sense. So send in those super chats. And if you're watching on X, on Twitch, on Facebook, which, I mean, my God, these days on right now on X, we have something like 13,000 people watching right now. No, yeah. Oh, sorry. My bad. 15.4 thousand on my account.
I hate that. Fake news.
2.2 on Fightfuls. Even if you were watching on Jeremy and Stevens. And I'll mention this to you guys. If you have a large Facebook account, Twitch account, or Twitter account, we are interested in multi-streaming our shows. So if you are interested in that, hit your boy up. JM says, SRS, would it have helped the talent if the talents imitate what Chelsea Green did? Regularly talk to producers and creative for pitches. So this is something that I actually talked with her about. And I think a lot of people misremember Chelsea upon leaving. Chelsea got picked on a lot online because all these pitches came out. And the reality was, back then you had to wait in line to get into Vince's office hours at a time, and then maybe you wouldn't. And then when she finally got in there, she threw like 20 things at the wall, and she said, one of them's got to be good. And then unfortunately after that, she got cut. Not immediately, but still. And they brought her back, and she had a life-changing angle that was presented to her. I don't know if it was one of her pitches. I think it was just because I think I may have actually informed her that was happening, because I posted a story and there were people close to her like, what?
Oh, really?
Really? But you never know. And ultimately, it's where you're slotted. Like, could AOP have been like the next Legion of Doom? Obviously, that's what Paul Ellering wanted. They were never slotted that way once they came back. Cedric Alexander was never slotted in a manner of which he was going to emerge. Sonya had stop-start pushes. They had her as a GM. She did well. Then when she started to wrestle, she lost all the time. All the time. But, man.
Kim Gray was there tonight and said she's so tired from yeeting. So
whoa.
I feel like that's probably a good transition for you if you're trying to get out of here, because that's what we started the show with. But
yeah,
any of you guys have any final questions for Sean? Sean, if there's anything else that you want to plug on for Fightful Select this weekend.
There's a lot I want to plug, so I'll go ahead and do that. We have started to do short info docs. Mike Straw has been doing these. They're called Fightful Presents. We've had 2 of them. There's the History of WWE Tribute to the Troops, and there's the New Japan Exodus of 2016 to WWE. The YouTube algorithm is not being kind to those. I would appreciate it if you guys would be kind to those. Please leave a thumbs up on these videos. That helps so much. We have interviews with Eric Bischoff and Swerve this week. We have Buddy Matthews next week. Fightful Select has a whole bunch of stuff. We got our Instagram back recently, relaunched it. It's a completely fresh, new approach. I am learning more. I didn't have as much time last year to focus on SEO and doing new content and stuff. I'm doing that a lot here on our YouTube. We're marketing it a little bit more and a little bit different. I am doing a solo post WWE Raw show. I'm really enjoying that. Like, I get to connect with you guys a lot more. I do a Q&A on Fightful Select every single by God week. We're going to start, now that we've got our Instagram relaunched, we're putting a new effort into our YouTube. We are going to sort of relaunch our TikTok as well. So that's out there. We're on Facebook. We're on all these platforms. We're on audio platforms. We're everywhere, my friends. And I would appreciate if you guys would check it out. By God.
Great place to start is by subscribing to this YouTube channel if you aren't already. Almost 125,000 followers. Tap bells for notifications. You guys know the drill. But Sean, thank you for providing context for some unfortunate stuff tonight and then some more traditional news. We like contract signings. We hate people losing their jobs around here. It's a bummer.
Yeah, I just want to say this, and I honestly, I'm very fortunate of the environment of which we have cultivated, because in so many shows where I've done streams about releases, they're like people fantasy booking who will get fired, and I haven't really seen that in our chat, which makes me very happy. Like, we can't do our jobs without the talent doing their jobs, and these are real people with real livelihoods and families that unfortunately lost their jobs tonight. And well, unfortunately in the case of the WWE people, not so unfortunate in the case of that one AEW release. But I just want to say thank you to you guys, and thank you all for having me for over 40 minutes.
Sure.
Kate, don't forget we do have sponsors.
I've never forgotten that in my whole life.
Might as well drop one now.
I might as well drop one now, because NordVPN is one of our most valuable sponsors around these parts. Sincerely, I was using them tonight as I was watching SmackDown on Netflix from Canada. I appreciate the Canadian son of a systems engineer or whatever Kevin Owens' shirt said, but NordVPN, so great to us. Sponsor of the Fightful Awards. We talk about it every week, but sincerely, you save so much money with them by using the code Fightful, and you save so much money in like 2 pay-per-views if you use NordVPN. So we're going to let Sean tell you all about it, and then we are finally going to get into our SmackDown review. We'll try to make it pithy for you guys, but we'll get everything covered. Here's a little bit about NordVPN.
Buying pay-per-views on NordVPN.com/Fightful is going to enhance your pay-per-view buying process. Now, one subscription to NordVPN has so many different benefits, but if you're a big pay-per-view buyer like myself, UFC, boxing, pro wrestling, all that good stuff, any combination of the 3, if they're doing a fight circus or something like that, this subscription will pay for itself after 1 or 2 pay-per-view buys. Change your virtual location, pay for it at the prices that other people are paying for it in the UK, in Australia, etc., etc. And you can get different interfaces. Maybe you don't like Peacock and you want to check out the WWE Network the way that it used to be, the way that it was designed to be, the easy navigation, so on and so forth. Maybe you want to watch AEW without commercials. Maybe there's some other overseas services that you can't subscribe to and you want access to them. NordVPN.com/Fightful gives you that with a great deal and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Even better, 24/7 tech support, so if you have trouble navigating any of it, they can help you out. Fastest VPN on the planet, NordVPN.com/Fightful.
Huge pop for this. SRS Live and pre-tape people to recruit. Well done. Well done. We're finally going to get into this episode of SmackDown. So get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats at humperchats.com. Please do leave a thumbs up on this video. I do also want to express my gratitude for the care and taste that you guys have in talking about people's job losses. One thing that I've always admired about Sean and the way he goes about business is that he puts the person ahead of news. And I've had talent that the whole reason they speak to me is because of the way that Sean has handled his communication with them and job cuts, unfortunately. So it starts with him, and I appreciate so much that has trickled down to you guys and that you handle it with the same integrity, realizing there are human beings that lost their dream jobs today, and that sucks. These are like the worst days of the year outside of when people pass and things like that. So thank you for continuing to have some respect around it. DJ Jericho saying Chelsea versus Penta and Lucha Underground was a work of art. She's so talented. It's so fun with Penta being over in WWE now. How many people have brought up that match? How many people are just discovering that was a thing? How many people are just discovering Lucha Underground was a thing? I absolutely love that. We also have Cresta in the chat. We love Miss Cresta Star. She's a huge part of our TNA and our Collision post show. She's also just one of my favorite people in the world. She's so freaking delightful and so charismatic. If you are you not entertained by Cresta being on screen? But let's finally dig into this SmackDown review. Thank you for the support. Keep that coming. Let's kind of start with our Royal Rumble winners here. And we do kick off the show with Jey Uso. He gets a Yeet encore for the second time in a row. I like what he says here. He says, very simply, I talked to Gunther on Monday. It's only right that I come here and I talk to Cody. He says those are my only two choices. That man wants no part of Obafemi. He's a wise man. Obafemi, the dominant NXT champion. Charlotte's like, I'll talk to Julia. And Jey Uso's like, I'm yeeting my way out of NXT. No, thank you with that. But Cody comes out and he says that he's proud of him. He runs through this litany of injuries that he sustained at a fantastic ladder match at Royal Rumble. Maybe my favorite match of his career. I feel like Cody is at his best in matches that have stakes on him as the babyface who's an underdog. That's where you see like the Dusty Rhodes in him. I feel like you start to see that, and it's so easy to start rooting for him in those contexts. I think it's his greatest strength as an in-ring performer is the way that he performs in specifically those contexts. So huge fan of the match. But he goes through this litany of injuries and he says, didn't matter because his heart was full after seeing Jey win the Rumble. He acknowledges that he nearly lost his shot at the title in the main event last year at Rumble because The Rock wormed his way in and out. So he sees that Jey has to make this choice, which is really good stuff. He talks about their tag run, but he says, hey, those were great memories, but if you choose me, this is the last night that we get to celebrate because I need to win in the main event at Mania. I'm not losing my title just because I like you. And then we have Tama Tonga coming out, doing his yee! And Jacob Fatu, of course, who says to Jey, hey, this title needs to come back to the family and it ain't happening through you. And then, I dare say, they rebel rouse a little bit. Alex, there's some post promo beatdown happening here, but the face is chasing them off after this promo, which of course sets up the main event. How did you feel about the way we opened the show tonight? I felt like it was kind of to be expected, but I thought it was well done. Yeah,
same here. I thought it was honestly, there is no other avenues to go right now. That is and I do believe that the way that they actually went about it did not feel like something that has been overused or something that they've done thousands of times. I like they have a whatever they're doing differently now with the dialogue between the wrestlers sounds a lot more loose and less scripted, right?
Yes.
I think they're actually having a conversation as opposed to like, you tell me your bullet point, I'll tell you mine. You know what I'm saying? So very well done. I like where all of this is going, and anytime you have yeah in the ring, I mean, he just pops me every time, man. I don't know how anyone could stay in the ring without laughing, and not laughing at him, but just it's cool to see. You know what I'm saying?
They're just so leaning into it now, and it's really fun. At first, I was like, "What are we doing?" People were like, "He did this in New Japan," and I was like, "Well, hold on, not like that." And now they're just full on leaning into it. It's in his Twitter bio. I love it, but that does set up our main event where we have Solo Sikoa returning here. Cody and Jey getting the win against the Bloodline. My only thing with this is we see Braun Strowman on the show tonight, sort of, right? But like, Braun kind of unceremoniously, he's my bro. Braun Strowman's my bro. Braun kind of unceremoniously defeated, or eliminated rather, Jacob Fatu from the Rumble. Like, I felt like we're obviously going to run that back. That might even be the setup for the Mania match. But for that to not really be the thing that gets followed up on for Fatu right here, kind of more directly, I was a little bit surprised at, because the first time at Saturday night's main event was so much fun. But this seemed inevitable. Jacob Fatu, what more can we say about him? This guy is a main event caliber wrestler. I think he's going to be holding that title sooner than later. I'm intrigued to see. It kind of feels like if Jey beats Gunther, maybe Jacob beats Jey. I felt like it would pretty obviously go from Jey to Logan Paul, but man, they would be silly not to strap a rocket to this guy sooner than later. We'll see which rocket they choose. They've got a whole bunch in this company, but super fun main event. The babyface is getting the win. We'll see if we revisit it, but didn't hate this. And of course, Solo Sikoa coming back into the picture. Good stuff. This is a good time for him to re-enter things, I think.
Yeah, and the fact that whatever hoodie company out there WWE is using is keeping them in business. Once again, a black hoodied individual who jumps the rail or whatever happened there.
Fanatics just they have such a strong relationship.
I mean,
they
for
just
real,
should stitch their logo at this point on the back of those black hoodies.
Good to see. Good to see. You kind of show a little bit of the bloodline showing that they're still intact, and there was no cracks as of yet. So it's leaves the door wide open to see what's coming. They have to set things up. I mean, we have Elimination Chamber and the Mania coming up real soon. So
yeah, it's we're in sign pointing season, baby. We are off and running. But well, saying what I said earlier, I see Jey doesn't want the smoke from Obafemi. That is for sure. That was such a double-edged sword with Obafemi, because if you follow the NXT program, Obafemi is like, I hate to say generational talent because it gets thrown around so loosely anymore, but he is a special talent.
This is true.
And you almost don't want him in Royal Rumble unless he's going to win it, which he's obviously not going to. But it was weird not to have an NXT presence on the men's side when it was so heavily present on the women's side. We saw a ton of NXT talent in that Rumble. I was hoping we'd get either him. I thought for sure we'd be getting Trick Williams or Ethan Page. Any thoughts on the lack of NXT talent? I know you don't really follow that product as closely, but I was a little bit surprised by that.
I just, for whatever reason, I feel like they have an abundance of male talent that are both in SmackDown and Raw.
Sure.
So, and honestly, they have so much to build towards Elimination Chamber and Mania that maybe in producing a lot of these NXT talents in the Rumble would kind of like, what would, just to get thrown over? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And unfortunately, not that there isn't that many stories going on the women's side, but there really isn't a lot of stories going on in the women's side. So it was a hell of a lot easier to insert, a lot of the NXT women to kind of like showcase them. And one thing that I was very happy about is just the fact that we didn't get a ton of old school wrestlers coming back, a lot of legends coming back and taking a spot, or, there's just no need for it, right? So they've kind of weaned away from that, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, there weren't a ton of nostalgia pops. I say I'm good with like 1 to 3 of
Yeah,
those. Like
yeah.
I'm good on that. On the women's side, you had Nikki, who I think is going to be doing some more present day work, but
I
Trish
think
was a
so
good
too.
shout.
Yeah,
The NXT talent, quite frankly, NXT is a women's wrestling heavy program
it
right now
really
as
is.
well. So they showcased a lot of really incredible world class
Mm-hmm.
talent on the women's side. So guys, keep the super chats and humper chats coming along. We get this chat saying, not the Penta versus Io erasure. That match is incredible. Io has been great for a very, very, very long time. And what's so amazing to me about Io is it doesn't matter what environment she's in, she's always managed to be herself and always managed to perform at just like the highest caliber. She's a special, special, special talent. But let's switch from our men's Rumble picture to our women's Rumble picture. The return of Charlotte Flair, who I gotta say, 3 promos this week, and she kind of sold me on all 3 programs. I definitely feel like it's going to be Charlotte and Tiffany, especially now that we're going to find out that Nia Jax is getting a one-on-one shot versus Tiffany and she's not going to be in the chamber. I think that's pretty indicative that Charlotte is going to be coming for Tiffany, because if somebody else was going to be going after Tiffany Stratton, it would probably be Nia Jax. And they're doing that match at Elimination Chamber rather than putting Nia Jax in Elimination Chamber to set up that challenge. So I've really liked what we've gotten out of Charlotte so far, because she seems like she's fine with the boos coming her way if she's going to get booed. She's leaning into the story of her being overbooked, whatever people want to say about her, which is not an inaccurate criticism. She is a 14-time world champion, depending on if they choose to count NXT reigns that day or not. But she's also one of the best damn wrestlers to ever do it. So to me, she's been out 14 months. She's coming back. She's coming back to work with a young talent. I hope they put Tiffany over. But what I like is, so far in her appearances on Raw and NXT and here, she's kind of just let the reaction be what the reaction is. She seems aware that it's likely she's going to get booed on the main roster. It's likely she's going to get cheered in NXT because of all the work that got done by her and women's wrestling on that brand. So she kind of comes out here and says, I love this from her. Love her or hate her, everybody's obsessed with her, whether they want to talk about, essentially, in kayfabe terms, she says her booking, her last name, whatever, but she says she was in the Royal Rumble with 29 unserious women. Of course she's gonna win after being away for 14 months. And then she gets interrupted by Tiffany Stratton here, who says she's always admired Charlotte. She didn't know how women's wrestling in WWE was going to fare without her. But then she was gone for like a day and everybody moved on. And with Tiffany as champion, wrestling has never been hotter or a more popular product, which I thought was a perfectly in-line belief for Tiffany Stratton to have. It's this little bit of a looking into a mirror program with Tiffany and Charlotte, and I like that. But then Nia Jax and Candice LeRae come down. And Nia says she talked to Nick Aldis, and they both agreed that she doesn't need to be in the Elimination Chamber to get a shot at Tiffany. They're going to have this match at Elimination Chamber, one-on-one, which I like because it feels kind of fair at this point. Nia's been made to be kept strong, and Tiffany did win in kind of a sneaky way. So I like this from Nia. And I also like that they're clearing this out of the way and not letting it go unacknowledged. Like, I think it's obvious that Tiffany retains, but this rematch should happen. Their relationship was a focal point of the women's division for a really long time. And I don't think this needs to be something that happens at WrestleMania. So I like them clearing it out of the way in Toronto. Really good stuff from this. I'm looking forward to what feels like it's going to be a Charlotte and Tiffany program, but hey, if they run back Charlotte and Rhea, that was one of the best WrestleMania matches I've ever seen, men or women. So not mad about that either, but feels like we're leading toward Charlotte and Tiffany, Alex.
Yeah, it's gonna have to. I think this. I think that they've made their decision on her just being solely a SmackDown superstar. So, for her to kind of just move around, and I believe they mentioned today on air that like the transfer portal's over or something like that. So, whatever that means. So, Yeah, 100% Tiff, and I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll really showcase what Tiffany can do with someone who's a veteran in the ring like Charlotte, who's someone who can really go hard in the ring, man. Like she's gonna bring it, So I honestly wouldn't even have an idea who would win it. Obviously, I think that they would put it back on Charlotte. I don't know why I would think that, but
from all of the everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
From history, right?
But
history
it would. But can I be honest? It would be rather interesting if that didn't happen, and you kind of say, "Hey, we're giving you the effing ball here, Tiff. Run with it. Like this is your time." You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you got to make new stars, man.
I am in 100% agreement with you. I think it's much more productive for Tiffany to retain and get a win over Charlotte. And I also think that makes it more interesting for Charlotte's character too. Like, I had this long absence, I come back, and maybe I'm not the same dominant woman that I thought I was. I also think that wrestling right now, I apologize, wrestling. I complained about short title reigns for so long. And now I'm like, somebody please hot potato something. Things are feeling very predictable. Jey Uso winning, obviously, like, the least predictable thing in the world. But if they did, like, a Charlotte Tiffany program where Charlotte won it at Mania, but Tiffany won it back at SummerSlam, I do think there's value in that, too. My preference is that Tiffany just retains straight away. But I like the way that they're going about business here with how this got set up. I like all of Charlotte's promos since she's come back have done the job. Guys, keep those super chats and humper chats coming. We thank you so much for sticking around tonight. If you're looking for information on the recent releases, Sean covered those extensively at the top of the show, as well as some contract news, how the Alexa Bliss timeline came together. Two things can be true, guys. They can be really, really far apart, really close to Royal Rumble, and she can sign and come back at Royal Rumble. So everybody actually had that story right at the given points that those stories were reported. Kevin Owens confirming what we probably already knew via Girl Scout cookies. So get your tag-alongs from Kevin Owens' daughter. Are you a Girl Scout cookie guy, and what are your favorites?
I don't want to I don't want to give anyone any bad news. I saw something and read some reports, but I'm not going to bring that up. I'm going to keep it positive tonight because I know a lot of people out there want me to give them the bad news, which I'm not. You guys can go Google it on your own and find out how delicious or how not well these cookies are. But I love me the peanut butter ones. I can eat an entire. They're not even in boxes anymore. I think they do them like Oreo style, where you kind of like peel the top back so you can reseal it. Those little trays, those cookie trays now. But man, those godforsaken peanut butter ones. Like,
the tagalongs, they're the best.
Is that what they are?
Tagalongs and
yeah, I don't. I don't ever remember any of the names. When I see the little girls on the street, I'm like, you got that stuff?
No, you're
you
like
know what I'm saying?
The red box.
Yeah,
the chocolate peanut butter.
I literally go up to them. You got that stuff?
You do the rock, the like.
Yeah. Pass them a little money. I'm like, you got my bag? Let's go.
Guys, send in your super chats, your humper chats, and let us know your favorite Girl Scout cookies and order them from Kevin Owens' daughter. Keep those super chats coming. Also, please leave a thumbs up on this video if you are here. It's very much appreciated. The algorithm is working against us sometimes because we put out so much content on a regular basis. If you're here for the first time, we do post shows pretty much after every major wrestling promotion airs on a weekly basis. We do Raw on Mondays. Sean does that show solo now on this channel on Fightful Select. Me and Alex Pulowski do a separate post show. Tuesdays, me and Alex Pulowski are on the main covering NXT. Wednesdays, Alex Pulowski and Sean got your AEW Dynamite post show. Thursdays, me and SB3, who's so wonderful. We do the ROH review, followed by Cresta, who's been hanging out in the chat, and Joel doing your TNA Impact review. SP3 also helping expand our morning show on Fightful Overbooked in the Weeds. Go from 3 days a week to 5. He's there Tuesdays and Thursdays. Joel Pearl and Jeremy Lambert also there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then Fridays, you get to hang out with me and Cardoza, and Sean pops on eventful nights like tonight. So
that would be I.
thank you so much for the support. A lot of some Samoans in the chat, a lot of samosas.
Wow.
And a lot of Thin Mints. A lot of people say I got Thin Mints in my freezer. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I love them cookies.
Cardoza, clavicles, get to work. My goodness.
Hey, listen,
Goodness.
I already made a promise that I will raise money through onlyclavicles.com for Kate. Yeah, the cat's out of the bag. I own that.
That's it.
I own onlyclavicles.com, everybody. It is real. It's coming. I'll show it off for y'all.
Hell yeah. Me nervous saying I had a mushroom Cabernet gravy.
Oh.
So good. I'm eating it on veggies, not meat. Are you feeling okay, Meat Normus? Now, shall we crank? How was Raw? I am still on a WWE break, partners. Well, this was SmackDown. So Raw, you're going to have to go back on Monday and watch. But SmackDown was pretty good. 3 hours is still tough, but they're finding their way with it. They're definitely finding their way with it. Let's talk some more women's wrestling with Bianca and Piper. Now, what I loved seeing about this match is Piper Niven is starting to really get her own reactions. And during Royal Rumble, we sowed some seeds of dissension between Piper and Chelsea. So I'm hoping that there's an eventual turn there and Piper gets to stand on her own and be a solidified face in that process. She does so well as what is she? Hakuriti? Sahurid? What is she? I always forget what they call her.
Whatever it is, she can
Kicking ass is what she was doing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Bianca Belair getting the better of her here with the KOD, which is always so impressive to show off that strength. We also saw that in the Royal Rumble as well. Naomi and Chelsea both at ringside. This was good. I would like to see Chelsea defend against people other than Michin, but I'm glad that Piper is also getting more screen time. We'll reiterate here because there's a lot of people watching tonight, over 26,000 of you. Is that right? Damn, thank you for the support tonight. But one thing that's been good about expanding to this 3-hour format, more tag wrestling, more women's wrestling, the things that I'm always whining at you about to expand, which is so great. Getting to see Piper get more reps, she's so much fun to watch. Getting to see Bianca in action, you're never going to hear me complaining about that. She's incredible. So happy to see this here, but later in the back, we also get Chelsea Green and Piper Niven talking with Byron. And Chelsea Green is going to be in an elimination qualifying match next week with Naomi, which kind of got set up through this match. Michin and BFAB show up, and Michin threatens her title run once again. But Zelina Vega is here, and she wants a title shot, which that, I gotta say, feels unearned. Zelina Vega was not lighting it up on Raw with wins. She has no wins here on SmackDown. She is the de facto, we don't have any contenders person that they run out there, and it's unfair to her, and it's unfair to these title pictures. Just have her get a couple of wins. You now have 3 hours. Have Zelina Vega pick up 3 wins and then challenge for this title. It can't be that hard, man. Just have these women get some wins before contending for titles, but happy for Zelina Vega as she is switching brands, that she gets to do something of consequence for sure. How did you feel about both the match with Bianca and Piper and the segment that I just kind of outlined for us here?
I love women's wrestling. I love my women, just like Bianca and Piper, by the way. If you guys didn't know this, I like women that if I were like mouth off could probably punch me and knock my teeth into next week. So these girls do it for me. I thought it was good, man. I love watching Piper in the ring. I don't think we get enough. I love that we get the side of where she kicks ass, and then we get the side where she's actually really funny alongside Chelsea. She has range. Her facial expressions are on point. And she goes along pretty well with everything. And then it's funny that you mentioned Zelina, because right now she's just kind of just like floating around backstage in SmackDown, kind of trying to find her niche. And it sucks because I not that it sucks, but I just hope it doesn't go the way I think it will, with her pairing her with someone.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It could be anyone. I'm not going to mention the obvious. I'm just going to say pairing her, because she is a great talent in the ring as well, and she could go as well. So, you know, I hope that they take this serious with her challenging for the title, whichever way she gets there, because obviously you're not just going to say, hey, I want a title shot. You haven't been around doing anything, right? So
Sure.
yeah, I'm all in. I like that they're focusing a lot on finally on the women's US title in a positive light and keeping it away from the usual suspects that we've been talking about for the last
Sure.
2 months, basically.
Victor Nash saying Charlotte deserves the title after being out injured and getting divorced from Andrade. I mean, you can't really book two people's personal circumstances, but to your point, like, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn won the titles just because they were Scottish. Like, so I get where you're
How
coming
dare you?
from.
Don't ever talk about my witches.
I love them. I would love for them to be in this mid-card contendership picture so much. Like,
True.
Alba Fire, Kaylee Ray, whatever. I really wish was more prominently featured, but Charlotte deserves to be in the world title picture because she's just one of the best in-ring wrestlers of all time, man or woman. So I do feel like she should be there, but I do think that we're kind of moving into this phase where the remaining 4 horsewomen are kind of in the position where they're putting over younger talent, and I think that's really productive and good for women's wrestling. Bayley's working with Roxanne Perez right now, who is the future. What a performance in Royal Rumble she had. My guess is when Becky comes back, it's for Lyra Valkyria. Charlotte working with Tiffy. Like, these are the programs I want to see, whether Charlotte has the title or just puts over Tiffany. I think either way that could go well. I just don't need to see Charlotte with, like, super, super long reigns that don't elevate the roster, because I think that's the phase that we're in now. Guys, thank you so much for the support all night. Keep those super chats coming. Longer show than usual tonight because we had Sean on for the first 40 minutes of the show, answering your questions, talking contracts, talking releases, unfortunately. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Let's dig into this KO promo from the car. Van Twinblade saying, every time someone says KO is out of pocket, we see KO vindicated. KO has never done anything wrong in his life. Now, I posted on social media this promo from a while ago, and it was when KO, I think he held the IC title, and he was facing then Aleister Black. And it was a promo mostly about a banana. He wheels in on the chair, okay? He goes right past the interviewer, wheeling in, and he says, beating Aleister Black is almost as good as eating this banana, but a perfectly ripe banana is just the greatest thing in the world to him, and it's mostly about a banana, but he's also, like, cutting through Aleister Black's whole character by being like, you know, for someone who is filming in these very weird environments with dark lights and candles and creepy stuff around, he's like, he's sure to get thrown off by the flicker of some lights. And he's like, where's he even filming from? An attic? A warehouse with a bunch of stuff? I don't know. Kevin Owens. I'm like, this is who you aren't defending, Sami Zayn. This guy who just loves his bananas and is calling Aleister Black a scaredy cat in promos from forever ago that I can't stop watching because he's so damn entertaining. How dare Sami Zayn not interfere on Kevin Owens' behalf to help him retain the belt that he definitely had won. Kevin Owens is perfect and has never done anything wrong in his life. What did you think of this promo?
You know, Kevin Owens just can't do any wrong, can he? Are we gonna run it back with him and Sammy? Is this what's about to happen?
So.
For the
so.
37th time? I've been counting. If I look at my notes, checks notes, yep, 37th time. I'm not complaining like in a bad way. Like, I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but we've seen it. I thought we saw the end of it, and I thought we really wrapped it up, and I really thought that was it, because I remember feeling that exhaustion after the last match and saying, finally, they're going their separate way and they're doing their thing, you know. But I hope maybe they don't, but gosh, it sure feels like it might be. And Kevin Owens can't do no wrong right now. He's on this hottest streak that I've seen him in the last 10 years that he's been in WWE or so. So I just don't really, and don't get me wrong, like I know there's a lot of fans of this that are going to want to see it, but just personally, I just feel like it's a little bit overdone with them too, you know?
I'm intrigued to see if this lasts to Mania. Like, is this Elimination Chamber because they're both Canadian?
Right.
And then we move on from it there? Or is there going to be a match at Mania?
Like we build a storyline after, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've done a really good job of building it out. I can understand the fatigue about it. We've seen this. I mean, both of these guys' whole career. We're talking El Generico, Kevin Steen days, right? Back in ROH. So I completely get you on, like, been there, seen that before. I will say, when they had it at WrestleMania the first time, it was that year in Tampa where it was raining and they got so cut short on time. It was like only 7-8 minutes. So if they want to do it for the proper send-off that it is, I think it could be fun. I think what we're all really waiting to see is Randy Orton going to be healthy for this or not? And we never want to speculate on health, but that possibility of it being like a KO Randy Orton relationship aspect because of what happened with them, I think is very, very interesting. I don't want to make assumptions about people's health that they're going to be cleared in time for things, especially when you're talking like neck or back. That's just that's not like a broken arm and it heals and you're good to go. Like that's some really, really serious stuff.
Right.
So if that's the injury, which I think it is, that's not a report, but I think it is. I think that could get really interesting if like that became a triple threat or Sammy moved on to something else and Kevin Owens is facing Randy Orton there. But we will see. Michael Dammit asking, who's more honest, KO or George Washington? It's a toss-up. I will say I don't think Kevin Owens is lying about what his teeth are made out of, so probably Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens is perfect, and I would also think that he should be president. I know he's Canadian, but Washington had his time in the sun.
Interesting.
He walked away. I'm all for Kevin Owens' presidency, so...
Make the push.
Well, let's dig into this Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, Jimmy Uso situation, because this actually ended up being very fun. Good for them for making money off of some unease around some things that happened in Royal Rumble. But we talked about this a little bit at the top of the show with Sean, but I think this played out really nicely. Drew kind of says that he's officially on SmackDown here. He was angry because Raw is a toxic place to work and it rewards egomaniacs. And he's here for Cody and the WWE title that got stolen from him. He barbs a little bit with Jimmy Uso, who says that Drew sounds like an angry ex, which I liked a lot. And Drew says, hey, if Jimmy had said the word yeet first, maybe he would be where his brother is. But LA Knight comes out, and I love this because it's true. He says, crying is, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Crying, it's a manly thing to do, to express your emotions. And he's like, but there is a line though, and Drew McIntyre has crossed that line. He called him Drew McIntyre, which I think is just delightful. And then he says, oh, I forgot to get my stuff in, and he gets the crowd with yeah. And then we have what ends up being a really fun triple threat. Like, this was more fun than I thought it was going to be, because it's kind of just a TV match with no major stakes that's capitalizing on some drama or whatever. But this ended up being super, super fun. We got Drew with the ends of Claymore in this tonight as he's going for the BFT. And Jimmy... what happens? Everyone's down and then Drew pins LA Knight to win. That's right. But this was a really fun mix of styles. And I don't know, this just outkicked the coverage of what I was expecting, but everybody put on their working boots for this. Good to them for making something fun out of some real life mini drama. This was not something that was going to blow up. They're all professionals that were able to have some fun with this. Drew was even smirking in the ring on some of LA Knight's barbs. This was perfectly fun and perfectly fine. I actually really liked this triple threat. What did you think?
Yeah, it was fun to see. LA Knight still looks like he can pretty much hold a world title if he wanted to. Like, he has still the backing of the crowd, and you know, he can pretty much stand on his own. is what I mean. Like, he kind of stood out in that match. I know maybe because Drew McIntyre is kind of like, to me, like, he's been in this position before where he's trying to make a play for the title, and he's kind of like, you know, being a smart ass with everyone and blashy blash. But I think LA Knight, out of all three, LA Knight was the one that stood out for me. You know, and please, can we, for the love of God, can we please stop with the Big Jim stuff? Okay, we never wanted to make fetch happen. So let's not make Big Jim happen. It's not a thing.
I've said this a couple weeks. If you call Bronson Reed big, if that's where the bar is for what you're calling big, Jimmy Uso was not big.
Don't upset me, people. Okay, I used to be called big too, because I was not like that.
You were big sexy though in your backyard wrestling
big
days.
Sexy. How dare you? Don't question my big sexiness.
I would never. Guys, get in your super chats and humper chats. If you're joining now, I'm seeing that the numbers continue to go up. The beginning of the show, Sean was on to talk about the releases and some contract news with Alexa Bliss and Kevin Owens. That is all addressed by him at the front of the show. These days stink on the front of people losing their dream jobs. That just absolutely sucks. So
sure does.
Thank you to the chat for being kind. Thank you to Luis for throwing out people who are not. Much appreciated as we continue with our SmackDown review here. But let's talk about two guys that I know are your favorites. Let's talk about Pretty Deadly, who interrupt Johnny Gargano and Ciampa, who are bragging about their tag team title win at Rumble. And they say, we've given you so much help. And I really like this from Nick Aldis. He says, you don't deserve a title shot. You don't. But you can earn one if you beat them tonight. And I love that. And it also makes me wonder, where are you with the Zelina Vega stuff? Because she's won nothing and just got here. But I appreciate that he's like, you've been a big part of what's been going on around here, but you don't deserve a tag title shot. But if you win tonight, you've got one. They ultimately get an O'Connor roll on Ciampa, but Wilson kicks him in the head and Prince reverses it and grabs the ropes for leverage to win. So I don't know how I feel about them grabbing the ropes on this. I guess they're still heels, so it works.
Hey.
Because this is, I guess, a little bit more of a heel-on-heel thing. But I'm glad they won. This was just like short and cold. But I love Pretty Deadly, and it's been nice to see them get to wrestle. They just didn't get a ton of time tonight to show what they can do. But yeah. I'm excited for like a real tag title match with them. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they you got to cheat to win.
Sure.
The boys know how to cheat to win. They're pissed off. They never got their freaking show that they wanted to put on for everyone.
Give them a musical.
All right, I will stand by them forever because they're my boys. All right, I usually, when it's warm, it's been very warm here in the great state of North Carolina, by the way. Beautiful 70-degree weather, nice and warm. Here the Northeast is not so good, so I'm able to wear my crop top mesh shirts out there without any problems, and that's how I roll, baby.
As you do, you are inspired by their fashion week over week, which we appreciate around these parts. Yes. But very much looking forward to that because they're great in the ring. So getting to see them actually wrestle and get some time will be very nice. They've looked good in the tag team victories and even in the losses that they've had when they get, more than 5 minutes to show out. They do good work. So some good stuff there. Let's talk about Carmelo Hayes. Now, we talked about Rumble, and I was kind of expecting Trick to come back because Carmelo has been booked to lose over and over and over again. And it just felt like even though him and Trick ended up on different pages in NXT, they became better rivals. I thought like you could have pretty easily done a promo where Carmelo Hayes reflects on things and says, when things were at my best was when I was friends with this guy. And Carmelo Hayes comes up, and he starts winning matches. They're both heels. Could be super fun. But instead, he just wins tonight against an opponent that hasn't done anything of value in, years.
I mean,
he
this
wins
is
with the nothing but net. The fadeaway DDT always looks really cool, but I don't understand, like, is him beating Tozawa supposed to be the big turnaround point? What are we doing with
Tozawa's
Carmelo
getting
Hayes?
a lot of television. He is one of the best acts. No, he's not. I mean, no, just kidding. I don't know what they're doing. And no shade to Tozawa. It's just the fact that you don't take a wrestler of the caliber of Carmelo, who you've obviously put a lot of time into for us to trust and love as a serious contender and a fighter. I mean, we saw what he did with the 7 series, right? And then you put him up against poor Tozawa, who's just kind of been a side joke, unfortunately, for the last year or two. Like, it I understand that you got to get his shit in,
Sure.
And curse rights after 12. But at the same token, like, maybe this is his buildup. Maybe this is how you start. You got to beat someone up, and who better, right? Like, just start here. This is his rise. We've been asking for it. We've been talking about it. So maybe this is where he starts and ascends to the top.
Man, I just feel like they are obsessed with this story where they take a great wrestler and are like, we have to have him lose upward. They tried it with Giovanni Vinci. It didn't work. They tried it with Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked.
Where the
It's
hell's he
worked
been?
better. They booked him into oblivion. I have no idea.
Dude,
but
he's
Giovanni
gone.
Vinci is like an incredible worker. If you asked me a year ago who would be the breakout star between him and Ludwig Kaiser, I would have hands down said Giovanni Vinci, because the in-ring is so strong. He is one of the best springboards that ever. I love watching Giovanni Vinci work. I wish they would let him.
Yeah.
I wish they would let him. Guys, keep those super chats coming. We are coming down the home stretch. Everybody wants a shot at Chelsea Green. We talked about this a little bit before, but we do have a couple of chats here. I'm sorry. We actually already read that one, but there was that Penta and Io match was super, super fun. And I do like that more people are coming after Chelsea Green. It needs to be more than Meechin. I would expect some NXT call up soon, but we are moving along. We have this great Damian Priest interview. There's going to be Meat Warfare next week. This was so much fun. Wade Barrett on commentary was having a hoot with this. So nice to get that. But we also have the Garzas confronting the Motor City Machine Guns, who say like they were upset about the way things ended in the biggest match of their career with the Street Profits interrupting. The Garzas confronting them because they've been in this mix too. Really refreshing to see multiple tag teams in the mix here. This is something that the 3-hour format has allowed. It was something that we were not seeing at all before. What are your thoughts? I know you're a Los Garzas guy. How are you feeling about them with the Motor City Machine Guns, who you notoriously hate?
This is not going to add any... Oh, boy. Here we go. Let's make this quick. I was waiting for this. This is not going to...
The microphone is on fire right now.
Listen, friends, I am... When you come on the mic and you say that the Royal Rumble match was one of the greatest matches in your career, this storied career that you have that I've been getting told that you have, that completely just shut me down right there. I was like, I'm going to try to like you boys today.
It was a world title match at Royal Rumble. What do you mean?
These dudes have been around forever. That was their biggest match of their career.
It's a world title match at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year.
People have been feeding these boys down my throat, telling me they're the greatest thing since sliced cheese. And then you come to me and tell them no. But
They're
anyway.
the greatest thing since motor oil. This is where they're from.
Stop.
Okay, they're from this part of Michigan.
With their entrance. Ta, 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 ta. All right. Other than that.
Hater.
I'm not a hater. It was a great promo. I see what they're trying to do here. If maybe my Latinos, if this is the step that they need, to go up against a veteran team like Motor City Machine Guns, and hopefully, I don't know, like, how are they going to mix? I just don't want them to lose.
Sure.
Especially to Motor City Machine Guns, but I don't want them to lose. Like, this is a bad situation because, Motor City Machine Guns is trying to get their groove back after losing the titles, and they've kind of they've won a couple matches, and obviously they got screwed. And I also didn't understand are they they were talking to them, you didn't do your part, when they're screaming at them, and I'm like, why are you friends? Did you guys have a deal? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
What was going on there? Do you know?
I think that's something we're gonna have to wait and see. But they did get screwed at Royal Rumble. But if you're not getting screwed the way that you want to,
oh Jesus,
BlueChew.com. You don't even need the code Fightful, but we're gonna let Sean Ross Sapp tell you about it.
Blue Chew, main event performance, main event confidence, and a main event deal. Go to BlueChew.com and use the code Fightful, and you will get Blue Chew with their first shipment for free. Shipment? Yeah, I said shipment. No waiting in line at the pharmacy, no awkward doctor's visits. You take their online exam, and then if approved, it's shipped straight to your door. That's right. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form and much more affordable. How can you pass up on this? How can you pass up on that confidence? How can you pass up on that performance? How can you pass up on making your sex life better? That's what Blue Chew is here to do. You don't have to have a problem to use Blue Chew. Just get that additional performance. BlueChew.com and the code Fightful.
Did you like my segue?
Yes, because for a second there, I always feel attacked by you, by the way, when it comes to these ads. I always feel like I'm in no position to even fight back because you put it out there so eloquently and then you tear me down.
You don't have to have a problem to use Blue Chew, okay? It's just...
So you mean to say I could just take it like candy if I wanted to?
It's a performance-enhancing drug. There's still a context you should take it in.
There's no reason why at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on my way to the Dollar Tree, I shouldn't be able to...
Well, no. Watch the product, Alex. Watch the ad and listen to it, okay?
Hello.
Watch the product.
Context. It's always the context, friends. Where and how.
Let's talk about this Street Profits promo.
Whoa.
Which,
if
Blue Chew can't get you going, this promo should, because this rules.
Yeah.
About damn time.
Who are these
like
boys?
Lizzo said. Well, I don't know. You hate legendary tag teams, so maybe you just hate this too, Alex.
They're very short of legendary, but they were very good.
Well, they were given something to frickin' do, finally.
They were extremely well.
This is awesome. This is an appropriately packaged version of the Street Profits. I absolutely loved this. They feel like contenders. If they are not in the tag team picture for WrestleMania, you have screwed up beyond screwing up, okay? These guys should be winning the tag titles at Mania from DIY. They need to. Like, you have Montez frickin' Ford and Angelo Dawkins, who has improved so tremendously. They make it work as faces. They'd make it work as heels if you ever put them on the damn television like you did tonight. So I'm very, very glad that it seems like they have picked a persona. They are sticking with it. They are going all in on it based on what we got out of this promo. It sure feels this way because this was slickly produced. I really liked it. I like what's going on in the tag division because multiple teams feel important, but let's keep it freaking going, right? Like I've been here before with the Street Profits. Can we capitalize? Alex, do you want to see DIY versus the Street Profits at Mania? I feel like it would have to be a triple threat or a 4-pack because both these guys are heels, but I think there's a lot of fun work you could do here.
Yeah, and on top of that, the Street Profits are a very, very strong team. Okay, they are physically dominant. You could just tell by the way, you can see them in the ring, outside of the ring, in their promo alone, they look intimidating. So it would have to be, because if you were to put them inside of the ring with DIY, physically and just looking at it with your eyes, there's no match. There's no reason why Street Profits don't just go in there and beat the living crap out of them and just pin them. Grab your belts, and you are now the new tag team champions, right? But at the same token, I want to see something being done because we've seen this before. They were champions, right? And it kind of was just like bleh, right? So we're gonna mix the attitude. We're gonna get the tag team belts if that's the way that they decide to go, and we're gonna do it strong. Because I like the attitude. I like what they're doing with the promos, but that doesn't equate to what a great championship run would be, right? Promos are promos, and then
they have to follow it through.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I would only hope that if this is their new style and this is who they're going to be, because I loved every single thing that they did, every angle, every facial expression. I thought it was very well done, but I want that to translate into the attitude, into what you're going to be putting in. DIY does it. DIY talks. They talk the talk. They walk the walk. They go out to the ring and beat the living crap out of you. So, I want to see that happen. Because they're physically dominant.
Sure.
Look at them.
We saw the awesome babyface run from them. They were white hot. A 9-8 Bengals season where you've wasted this much of Joe Burrow's talent will turn you this vicious of a heel, like Angelo Dawkins is right now. This is what happens when you're a Bengals fan. I can say I've experienced it working for Sean. Like, he's had some days. You know what I mean? There are days where I'm hesitant to show up to work. So.
Yeah.
Blessedly not true, though. I am a Steelers fan. It can get dicey over there, but me
How are you
saying,
Steelers? That's weird.
I'll tell you in a second. It's actually kind of fun. But me Norma saying, PSA, my phone is at 69%.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I have a nice night, bro.
Someone explain to me this running joke. I don't understand this 69. You've been posting on it for the last 4 years on Twitter.
I'll explain it to you when you're older, Alex.
Thank you.
I am a Steelers fan because I am a sellout. I'll explain it this way. I grew up a baseball gal. I grew up a Yankees fan. And because I was a Yankees fan during the 90s, my team was just always playing in October. So I didn't really get into football.
Yeah.
But in college, I wanted to get into football. And I said, if you teach me about football, I'll be a fan of your team. That's how this will go.
Very nice.
And the person that offered to do that was an Eagles fan. And I said, hell no, I'm not going to be an Eagles fan.
No,
so when I moved to New York, I had a friend there who was from Pittsburgh who said, hey, come to the Steelers bar every Sunday. You'll learn more just by osmosis than I could ever teach you. And it was the time before we knew Antonio Brown was crazy and he was great. Le'Veon Bell, Roethlisberger was still throwing really well. So it was a fun time to get into being a Steelers fan. And I love Mike Tomlin. I just do. That guy rules.
Yeah.
But Alan Jeanette saying, sorry,
what was his name?
Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
He's the only football jersey I've ever owned, and I will forever. Him and his glorious play and his glorious hair. But Alan Jeanette saying, bravocate for the segue. Thank you. That went blue. I'm celebrating by going up the ladder and grabbing $1,200 scholarship for going back to school this year. We love that.
We're here for going back to school.
I'll tell you what, my sister, I'm so proud of her.
Me too.
She has had long COVID and it's really affected her. And she can't do a lot physically, but she said, you know what, I can do a lot with my mind still. And she went back to school and she finished and got her degree. She had gone to acting school, so she didn't have like a proper degree. And then this year she did that. This is so funny. She made the decision in late summer. In December, she told my parents about it because she went back to school for free. And then she was done by May. She finished so fast.
So dope. That's dope.
See? If you finish too fast, you should use Blue Chew, though. But
hey,
we're so
now.
happy. We're so happy for
Kate,
you.
You nasty.
That you are choosing to go back to school. Anytime you invest in yourself, good stuff.
I agree.
Good stuff. Invest in yourselves.
You.
It's important.
Good on you. Do it now.
Well, let's close out with this Women's Elimination Chamber qualifier between Alexa Bliss and Candice LeRae. Alexa Bliss, maybe the loudest pop of Royal Rumble. Her comeback, we talked extensively about it at the beginning of the show. A genuine surprise for a lot of people. Yeah. She gets Candice LeRae with the DDT version of the Sister Abigail for the pin. Great to see her back. I'm intrigued to see what happens. Will she get sucked into Spooky World? Will she be the goddess Miss Bliss? There's a lot of possibilities with her coming back because we've seen different iterations of her. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what comes back from Alexa Bliss, but it was so great to see the reaction that she got at Royal Rumble. That was a really wonderful case where WWE and her got it done and they were able to give the fans what they wanted and they popped huge for her return. What did you think of Alexa Bliss winning this? I feel like her going into Elimination Chamber is a great program for her to come back into. I don't think she wins it, but immediately makes her feel important.
Yeah, it's good to put her in there. It's, you need that veteran presence, and you're trying to get people to come out and really like support the women in this event. And when you put names like Alexa Bliss in there, she's someone that you look forward to seeing, and she's going to give you 100%. Plus, we might even see a Twisted Bliss off the top of one of those pods, which will probably look freaking insane. Like I'm down for it. So very happy. I'm extremely happy for her, and her praying for her health and that she doesn't get hurt, because it's nice to see her back on television.
It definitely is. I think Elimination Chamber was one of her best performances.
Yes, it was.
The last time around.
Yes,
so
it was.
I'm excited to see her in that match again. I'm excited that people get to... I love returns that fans are excited about. It's the best thing ever because it's just people losing their mind about somebody getting to come back and do what they're great at. So
yeah,
that was really fun to see at Royal Rumble. Her and Joe Hendry, I feel like, had some of the biggest pops of the night. So
no, I'm just kidding. That's so messed up.
Say
don't even
his
start.
name, man.
I don't. Yeah.
You have no love for anybody from TNA.
Wow.
First Motor City Machine Guns.
Wow.
Now Joe Hendry.
I love Jeff Jarrett.
Well, that ends our show, blessedly, because I ain't talking about that guy anymore. But we are going to wrap up here. Before we get out of here, Alex, you're hanging out with Freddie Prinze. You probably are still doing a Christmas podcast, knowing you, but tell the people what you got going on.
I'm partying with the stars, hanging out with the celebrities, riding in style down Malibu, baby. Let's go.
You are in North Carolina drinking white girl drinks, just to be clear. But
how
anyway.
dare you? Just because we text each other all the time about it. No, you guys can find all of my works on alexiscardoza.com. Go in there, check out all of the special projects that are going to be coming out. I am doing. We already started recording some, but this awesome 90s podcast that I'm putting together, speaking all about 90s, and we're going to be running down the 90s from 1990 all the way to 1999. We're going to take a couple of those years. We'll do like about 2 to 3, maybe 4 episodes of each year, 1990, 91, and 2. And we'll break the things down that happened during those years, what was popular from television to entertainment and pop culture. And I haven't mentioned this anywhere, so you guys are going to hear it here first because you are the best, and I love you all. But joining me will be my co-host, Austin Romero, a.k.a. Mike Rome from NXT. So he's going to be joining me on that project. So I hope you guys come over and support me and him, and we'll have some very special guests. I don't name drop, but maybe like Joey Fatone, who I'm really good friends with, might come by. I don't know.
Gosh.
Someone else who just came out with a new record called Ryan Cabrera. I don't know if you guys know him. He's married to Alexa Bliss. So...
What about one of the most important tag teams of yesterday and today, the Motor City Machine Guns? Will you have them on your podcast?
You know what? Maybe once we transition over to the 2000s, I'll probably think about it.
Maybe you'll learn something.
Maybe, because I can't get their entrance out of my head.
Guys, you can follow me at Miss Kate Fabe on social media. You can catch me here on Fightful post shows every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday doing your NXT, ROH, and SmackDown post shows. Mondays on Fightful Select with Alex Pulowski doing Sour Graps. We also are behind the paywall for most pay-per-views and PLEs outside of NXT. And Wednesdays, I'm talking all things All Elite at the Mark Order podcast when I'm not filling in for Sean in his absences on here. So I'm also working on sponsorships and some other stuff. So if you're interested in sponsoring shows, please email me at kate@fightful.com and we will get you set up. But have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. We're on the road to WrestleMania, baby! And
enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday if you're going to be watching it. Have lots of snacks.
Absolutely. Enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. Have a safe and wonderful weekend, guys. We'll see you next time.